All right, we're going live right now, and the point is to talk about what's going on in Canada. Honestly, I'm not quite ready, but okay. So let's first off let's see a little bit of this thing. Bum, 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 bum. And we're hopefully that'll get you sort of keyed in a little bit into what we're trying to accomplish. And here, just going to get ready for this. And before you know it, I'm going to transfer over here. And yeah, I mean, sure, I'm making this donation thing, asking for money because I need money. I'm really on my last legs in terms of technical stuff. I mean, I'll publish stuff and I'll do stuff, but it's crazy. I tell you, it's crazy. I'm just going to take a little picture of the screen that I have over here. Don't mind me. I'm just going to take a couple snapshots of it. There we go. And hopefully one of them will turn out. Hopefully the second one. Okay. So this is okay. Let's see here. This is a little map I got, and it's kind of, I'm making my own app. But this is called Castle Canada, and it's about how things are looking like for the upcoming election in Canada. There's a lot of blue, and there's not quite as much red. That one blue, and then there's a little bit of a purple. That purple is the Bloc Québécois. Am I losing light here? Yeah, right? Okay, so the purple is the Bloc Québécois, the red is the Liberals, the orange is the NDP, and the blue is the Conservative. Now, if you're like me at all, government, what it means is there will be cutbacks in essentials, there will be less social services, I mean, they'll have their own boondoggles, no question. They'll funnel money into their own special projects. But there's no reason what's his name will be a better prime minister than Trudeau. At least Trudeau is a known quality. In general, I think he wants to do good. He wants to make sure money is provided for all the needs out there, especially in these difficult times. Okay, I'm getting a little. Currently my monthly budget of expenses is around maybe $1,100 or so, something like that. I mean, if I was, in a common situation with most people, and here's where I can understand what the NDP is feeling, and when they're talking about, okay, that's not good. Okay, we're reconnected successfully, so let's try and carry on a bit. Stream status is excellent. I like to see that. That's good. Again, okay, so we're talking about the NDP, and Jagmeet Singh has been talking about the costs of housing, and especially in places like Vancouver, the property is incredibly insane, and there has to be a lot of thought into making affordable living for everyone. And that seriously has to be done. Right now, if I wasn't lucky, I'd be, I'd be, I'd be in dire straits. I don't know if I'd survive long. I don't see myself as somebody who would survive long without a home. And I just, that's just. I mean, I have a Bachelor of Fine Arts. I have a university education. But finding work that is where I feel good about myself is hard. And I'm sure a lot of people, if they dug in deep, would feel similar. They're wondering, what do they have to do to earn the money to pay for all their needs and everything. Pay for their children perhaps, or their spouse, family, and house. I'm lucky. I don't have a spouse, family who is dependent on me, or a house where I have to make a mortgage or something, or do all those things. I'm in a very lucky situation. And that the benefit of that is that it gives me a bit of an interesting perspective on some of the crisis, that's going on. I mean, yes, today life is unaffordable. Yes, today, there is no way to really make a good living with a clean conscience. I don't believe that's possible. So the question becomes, how much hell do you want to go through? And, I think that really degrades, our humanity, and degrades our soul, degrades our brain, causes depression. And, there's really nothing we can do about that. So, seemingly anyway. So let's talk a little bit about, is it better to go left to the NDP, right to the Conservative Party, or, stay with the Liberals? And I would suggest that the best thing is to stay with the Liberals right now. We're nowhere near through this pandemic. When it started, was it 19 months ago? I was horrified, and I was with a bunch of people, and it was like, they were sort of like, it's not going to be any kind of problem, huh? And I was like, it's going to be a big problem. And it's still going to be a big problem for a long time. Life may never get back to what we thought of as normal. It may never happen. And so the question becomes, what are we going to transition into? How do we maintain our dignity as human beings? How do we respect others? Good question. And for that, that's why I believe in the Liberal Party. In general, I know Justin hasn't been doing the greatest lately. He's working hard, and he's stressed to the max, man. I mean, that stress, the stress of leadership is terrible. And I could see where his dad, Pierre, really wanted to take his, walk in the snow, and just get away from the pressure of endless criticism. I was reading I don't read the Sun, but I looked at the cover of the Sun, Winnipeg Sun, for about 2 minutes, and it was this horrible thing, where we can't afford. I don't know if that's picking up at all. Maybe I should try something different here. The glare is a little bit much. Okay, so basically, yeah, okay. So we can't afford more of the same. This is what the Conservatives are selling. Or somebody must have paid, thousands of dollars for that front page. And the headline was, today Trudeau borrowed another $424 million. Liberals, will give us more debt, more taxes, and rising costs. We can't afford more of the same. And authorized by the chief agent of the Conservative Party of Canada. So they did pay for this. This is an official ad on their part. And that's thousands, tens of thousands of dollars. Now, I used to do surveys, and one of the general questions is, do you want more services, or do you want less tax? And most people in general will say they want less tax, and that's why a lot of people go conservative. Very general, and very general. Less tax means fewer services. Fewer services mean people have to rely on themselves more, and they pay their way for everything. And and there's a lot of credit along those lines. If the system were fair, but the system is not fair. So. Well, let's go over to if people want to go to the left, NDP. They have been relentless in their criticism of Trudeau and the government, and I think their criticism is way out of proportion, and they'll focus on particular things and then wring death out of the towel. If you can imagine a towel that has a little bit of water out, and then they keep wringing, and it's not dripping anymore, but they're keeping wringing and wringing and wringing, as if that is going to change what's happened. And I totally have a preference for left policies. However, they have to be realistic. You have to balance the left and the right. And people might say, well, of course, that's the case in any situation, but you have to have a founding principle upon which you're doing it. Is it people first, or is it, more money for point of view is that it can. Lower Decks had a really cute little analogy where they were saying, a negotiation is where you have two parties, and in the end, they're both unhappy, So, and that's success. Yay, that's success for a federation. And Trudeau is doing that because the left is unhappy and the right is unhappy, And the Green have become irrelevant in this in this debate, although environmental issues are vitally important. And the Bloc Québécois is I'm not okay. Yeah, the Bloc Québécois is okay. See, the Bloc Québécois is trying to look after Quebec's interests, and they'll go whichever way the wind blows in Quebec. And, the wind changes all the time in those mountains, which is fine, But, in terms of leading the ship forward, we don't want Canada to become more like the United States, especially in this pandemic. I think it's really important to... I know my settings are messed up on this video, and I'll come back to it again after I fix it. But in the meantime, let me get back on track a little bit. Quebec is going to work out Quebec's interests. So they just basically need a good case put to them, and whether that's from the Conservatives or the Liberals. The case is going to be, and they'll figure out what's in their best interest. Now, the problem in terms of dealing with the future, dealing with the new reality, the new normal, is you do need, sensible people at the table. And, here's what my vote for Liberal means this time around, because it looks like we're going to be, no matter what we do, we're going to be in a minority government. But I hope the vote for the Liberals means, enough of the pettiness, and there's a lot of pettiness. Pettiness is terrible. Back in World War II, we had more of a coalition government, where people sort of, actually, put aside their differences and just worked on what was in the good, what was for the good of the country. And to a degree, that's really, what we need is to put aside differences. Now, things that happened in my home province of Manitoba here was that we had a coalition government, and then the Liberals continued in power for another 10 years or 15 years or so, and then the Liberals died for the next, to now, the duration of my lifetime. The Liberals have been dead in Manitoba on a provincial scale. And maybe that's the lesson of a coalition. It may work short term for the Liberals, for the centre, but in the long haul, again, you have the left hating you and you have the right hating you. And that's something that became more solid, a greater reality. When the CCF turned into the NDP. The trouble being that the Conservative Party of Canada and the NDP essentially are arguing the same thing from the same point of view. It's an unbalanced point of view. The Conservative Party argues, from the right. The NDP argues from the left. So, and it's hard to give everybody what they want, and that's why both sides get disappointed no matter what you do. Only, when a Conservative government is elected, the left is always disappointed. And the Conservatives, are fine because at least, they know they're self-reliant, so they don't get angry, because they just profit off the situation. But the left doesn't profit from a Conservative government, and yet in that sense, the NDP are the Conservative stooges, because what the NDP does is they take away from the corrective force that the Liberals provide. And they make that almost impossible, so that it puts forth the question, why can't we have good things? And because we're getting it from both sides, no matter what we do. When I was in university, I remember being criticized for being on the fence. Because you got to pick a side, and if you don't pick a side, then you're with the enemy, or you're with us, and you're our friend if you pick our side. And that never sat well with me. It just sounded illogical, and it leads to absolutism, and it leads to what's happening in the United States, where you have such incredible divides, and you don't have sense, and you don't have reasoned discussion, and you don't have mutual appreciation of each other. So that's my starting point. I have a lot more that I'm going to offer here. I'll give right now, if you let's just picture that you divide the the country into 24 groups by population. You'd get 3 groups in BC, 3 of 24. One of those groups is pretty much totally conservative at the moment, according to polls. Another group is split between the Liberals and the NDP and Conservatives, but the Liberals are doing really well in Vancouver. And you look at the island, Vancouver Island, and the NDP are doing real strong. And of course, you have Elizabeth May's Green Party, who's got their one seat. But that's divided. Right now, 5 NDP leading, 4 Liberals, and 3 Conservative. Whereas in the Vancouver area, you got 8 Liberals, 4 NDP, and 2 Conservative. Whereas in the Rocky Mountains, which includes even things like Chilliwack and those areas, even probably Port Pitt Meadows and all that, of 14, you got 12 are Conservative and 2 NDP, according to polls from yesterday, and that could have all changed by today because polls are very unreliable. In Alberta, we have 2.5 of 24. Of which most of that is Conservative, although, we got 1 seat leading Liberal in Calgary. Toronto's all Liberal for the most part. I mean, west of that, in Mississauga and all of that, there's a strong, maybe even west of Mississauga, there's a whole region, right? And so there's 7 Conservative, 7 Liberal. Thinking about Burlington and all these other areas. Although if you get even further, like into the Niagara Falls, 8 Conservative, 4 NDP, and 2 Liberal. And these are really appalling. Like, what if Erin O'Toole becomes the next Prime Minister of Canada? What if he gets more seats than Justin as Trudeau's Liberals? Probably still won't be a majority, but it does, change the dynamic of what's done, through Parliament. And these are really heady things. The Bloc Québécois has really been amazing. They've totally obliterated the NDP, not totally, but let's see. Let's make sure that our I'm not sure if we're getting good stuff here, getting smooth streaming or not. And I guess I'll check on that more when I've said my piece. But the BQ is doing really good. They've basically got all the well, that's not fair to say. Around Quebec City, there's about 6 Conservative leaders in BQ. Around Sherbrooke, there's 5 Conservative, 6 BQ, and 3 Liberals. That's 10 Liberals, 3 NDP, and 1 BQ. And in North Montreal, there's about 8 Liberals and 6 BQ. And when you get closer to Hull, there's about 7 Liberals and 7 BQ. So what's different in this election is how together the BC is in a Quebec voice in Parliament. So that can go in either way. I can't see them caring whether they're dealing with the Liberals or Conservatives. Although, as expressed by the Quebec Premier, I think they'd prefer Conservative. I don't think, and maybe, and what scares me, literally scares me, is that the rest of Canada is, leaning strongly Conservative. But you have to look south and see the terrible cases, of COVID-19 and the Delta variant and just all the chaos going on, this whole anti-vax crap, and this whole PPC crap, it's getting a lot of attention, but it's not good for the country. And honestly, I'll survive in a conservative Canada. I just won't like it. I'll complain a lot, and repeatedly, daily, I will complain, because I will be upset every day. Right now, I'm just upset some of the time, and I realize that, there's not much we can do about it. Anyway, so Right now, the Liberals look like they're leading at about 140. The Conservatives are leading. And this can mutate with with the actual poll results. When once you catch blood that somebody's losing, you go the other way. And that's really what's concerning me. So like yesterday, Liberals 142, Conservatives 130, NDP 30, Bloc Québécois 28, and Green 1. What does that mean? Things can either go towards the Liberals, in which case there might be a Liberal majority, or they can go towards the Conservatives, in which case there might be a Conservative majority. That 30 for the 27 for the BQ and the 30 for the NDP, both hurt the Liberals badly. I don't know how many of those would want to go Conservative, but the chances are, that they help the Conservative